Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special episode here for you today. I just want everybody to kind of get an idea of exactly what happened with the freak out moments. But before we get into anything, I have a certain question for you guys. Does anybody remember this situation that happened not too long ago?
Mr. Dick and Balls says, "Hey, Jack."
See, that's what she does. She does this. Like, she reads it like that's normal. Like, it's not even, she's not even saying, I'm not going to skip the name. She just goes, Mr. Dickenball said.
Could you please clear up the cuck article you wrote?
I am not going to talk about
Again?
this.
Okay.
And basically, you know what? Fuck you
Me?
for bringing this up right here and right now.
Me?
Why are you doing this to me?
I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was.
Well, just use a little bit of fucking common sense.
Sorry, apologies.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Elizabeth-
Heartfelt.
Elizabeth Harrison says, gonna miss the show, but have a good break. IHTAC, what's that?
I do want to commend Sydney. She handled that pretty well and made some merch off of it, which is why I'm wearing this shirt today, the heartfelt shirt. Shout out to Sydney for that one. You did great on that one. But Mr. Dickenballs kind of broke Jack Murphy, and the fallout from that is what ended Jack's career as an influencer and all that. And while we have another Mr. Dick and Balls incident that has happened, I'm going to be honest, even though it's kind of pissed me off, I hope that doesn't go the Jack Murphy route as well. And what we are talking about with this one is this little clip right here. Take a look.
Scrotes Magotes says, last night as a member, if Tim doesn't disavow Eliza tonight, get the out, Scrotes Magote. You can cancel right now and see you later. You will never wave money in my face and make me disavow anybody, especially someone I care so little about, Eliza Blue. She's been on the show 2 times. If you're going to cancel because I won't do what you say, you shouldn't have been here in the first place. Bye-bye. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
All right. So from that, I reached out to Scrotes Magote to see if he'll kind of come on and talk to us about it, and he agreed. So today we have Scrotes Magotes with us. Scrotes, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
That's not a problem, brother. All right, so let's give a little recap about this before we get into the situation and how this kind of developed for everybody here. Apparently Brittany Venti, Eliza Blue has been a trafficking advocate for a while here. I'm trying to play it nice for you too, but Eliza Blue has been a trafficking advocate for a while now. Been making her rounds as soon as this has happened in all kinds of podcasts and the right wing space as far as that's considered. Brittany Venti had asked the question about a World Star Hip Hop video that she was in, and the time frame about that video just kind of coincided with the time frame when she was being trafficked. And she asked the question, posted a little screenshot of that, and Eliza Blue just kind of went, she went full tyrant on everybody, trying to take down everybody off Twitter that would post anything related to that. And she has since gone into YouTube as well, trying to get YouTube videos taken down that we're talking about this. So it started an incident. Now, everybody within the community, there are a lot of people. I have noticed a lot of the same names that are in, Brittany Venti's live, Christy Mayer's lives, that Star Wars Girls live, Jeremy Hambley from the Quartering, and Tim Pool. So the whole freak out happened because for weeks, everybody was telling Tim Pool, hey, look, you need to talk about this situation. Please talk about this situation. Talk about this. And it's not because of the lies that were surrounding the Eliza Blue situation and how the time frame doesn't stand up. We were more concerned about the censorship issue. Because, Tim Pool was on the front lines of censorship just a few years ago, kind of leading the charge on that. He was the one that brought up Section 230 concerns for everybody. And now it just seems like to the people that would watch that he kind of turned tail and ran from the situation simply because it hit too close to him. So the breaking point came from a super chat from Scrotes Magotes. And he kind of had a little freak out situation, started calling everybody PR firms and we're all bots and everything like that. And then tried to kind of walk that back in that situation. And it's pissed off a lot of people. So, first question I really do want to talk to Scrotes about is how long have you been in this area, listening to these people and kind of talking around with them as far as this goes?
I'd probably say about since 2016.
2000s. Oh, you've been in it longer than I have then.
Yeah, well, I've always, kind of tried to keep up with, this kind of information. I've never really trusted mainstream media, so I try to follow independent media, people that aren't going to put any kind of spin or agenda on it. And I know you know how hard that is these days, especially to find that kind of information.
Oh, definitely. I mean, everything you find, everything everybody relates to as far as that's concerned, reading these articles, yes, there's a spin on it. You see things like far right and conspiracy theory, baseless claims, things like that. That's all the framing. That's all they're trying to make you think things. And, especially with the Hunter Biden laptop story, it's all, oh, these are conspiracy theories. These are baseless claims. Even today, they still say that, even though that information is out there. So, yes, everybody has their spin, and the framing in mainstream media has just gotten ridiculous. Even Fox News does the same thing.
Oh yeah, it's been apparent with them for so long. I don't understand how anybody, can still have their eyes closed to what's going on. Yeah, all sorts of information in the mainstream is suppressed on both sides. You're only going to hear anything about, the Hunter Biden laptop story from the right side, and I mean on the left, any kind of mention of it is going to include some kind of comparison to Trump or anybody else on the right.
Right. It's ridiculous how much everything goes back to Trump. I mean, you even look at this Eliza Blue situation, and it's still but Trump, but Trump. I mean, what does Eliza Blue have to do with Trump? Fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing. It's always going to be, well, Trump this or Trump that, but Trump, you know, it, you can't get into any kind of story without, him being brought up.
Yeah. And look, I hate the dude too. On a personal level, he's always an asshole. I've hated him since I was a child. Going back to, the Home Alone cameo. I've always hated the dude, but I can
Yeah.
acknowledge that he's done some good for this country. He actually brought, especially with me, that was my defining moment. I'd listened to a speech back in December of 2017. I stayed home from work, right? I was working 12, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I decided to skip work one day. And I saw him on and I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Everybody talks shit about this dude. Let's see what's going on. And I listened to the speech, and the only thing I heard was the same narcissistic bullshit. I'm great. Everybody loves me, this, that. And I was just like, okay. So you say he's racist, he's this, he's that. And I didn't hear anything that could be considered that. I even listened to the speech twice. I was like, fuck, maybe it's a one-off situation. So I went to work, came home, turned on the news, and well, Trump said this in his speech last night. No, the fuck he didn't. Well, he said this. No, he didn't. And that's what kind of caught me into that. And, ever since then, Tim Pool was the first person I actually started to listen to from independent media, things like that. And I was just like, well, this dude's, he's discussing things that nobody else is talking about. The things that I don't even know are happening right now because they don't talk about it.
Yeah, I think it was his trip to the no-go zones in Sweden that kind of got me interested in him and what he had to say. I really liked his take on a lot of the protests and riots or whatever back in that time period, because anywhere else you weren't going to get any kind of inside information or any kind of insight into what was going on.
Right.
And a lot of the associates that he had were giving out a lot of good information as well. It wasn't stuff you're going to find in the mainstream.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get down to the nitty gritty of this. In your own words, dude, what happened?
Well, I got to say that my whole interest in the Eliza Blue situation started from a thread I think DeFango made, but putting all of this information out that called her timeline of trafficking into question. And it was more just I guess morbid fascination. I never really liked her. She always kind of seemed like a snake anyway. You look back at her last show on Timcast, and it's just her attitude about the whole Andrew Tate thing. I don't really have an opinion on him, one way or the other, but the wording that she was saying, especially when she talked about how she was trafficked on Instagram and other social media sites, that really put her, I guess, her whole story into question for me. You know what I mean?
You
So
talking about that in that interview with Michael Malice?
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That the whole thought of that, being trafficking. Well, I had my identity stolen back in 2004.
Ooh.
And I didn't find out until 2007 that somebody had hacked my computer back then, stolen the information, and were making different different accounts and getting credit cards, all in my name. I was, it took a while for me to get all of that taken care of. I was able to get the credit charges, the cards, the loans, and everything uh, zeroed out of my name. But according to Eliza Blue's uh, definition, I was trafficked. At least that's my opinion of it. So
Yeah.
I was trafficked for what, 3 years then? So I,
That
I
is
didn't
ridiculous.
really,
I'm gonna admit
yeah.
that. That's a stupid ass comment with all that trying
It
to
is.
conflate that.
It's the dumbest thing. It's. I mean, I don't want to sound like an ass, but that's kind of a boomer take on identity theft. So
Yeah.
anyway, I was paying attention to the situation, and then I see Brittany Vinny get locked out of her account, and the same thing happened to Jeremy, and I get kind of festered. We're waiting for Tim to make some kind of statement, mention how these people are being censored, all at the behest of, Eliza Blue. There's no way anybody can argue that she did not have a direct hand in all of that. And I'm not saying she, she hit the report button or whatever. She knew people at Twitter that, got all of that done.
Oh yeah, she's friends with the vice president of trust and safety.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
mean that definitely had a hand in it, and to be that close to somebody with that much power, yeah, these things. It's kind of like the whole situation with Vijaya Gadde and Jack Dorsey and all that going
Exactly.
back to this. So
Exactly.
it's the old Roth of the new Twitter.
hmm You look back at Tim's interactions with Jack Dorsey and Vijaya Gotti on Joe Rogan's show, and then you contrast it with what he was doing last week. I mean, nothing.
Right.
I mean, we sat there. Everybody was saying in the chat, well, Tim, talk about, Eliza Blue getting, all these people deplatformed. I mean, I don't even know what the count is anymore. I know
At
it's got to be
least
dozens of
24
people.
videos on YouTube, and we're hitting high double digits on Twitter now.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We had all of that happening, and everybody in the chat's asking them, please say something. What's going on with Eliza Blue? What do what is your opinion on all this? Tim's always been this, anti-censorship guy, but then, somebody, that is obviously connected to him, considering all the information that's come out over the last week, and then he doesn't want to say anything. And I'll be the first. I know that I probably should have worded my member chat a little differently. Maybe saying, disavow Eliza Blue was a little too extreme. When I should have said, you know, disavow or condemn all of the censorship that's going on in her name. So
I will
yeah,
admit that. That kind of when I looked at it, it was just like if you don't disavow a lot. Okay, so number one, that super chat was real then, right?
yes. Well, it wasn't a super chat. It was one of those membership milestone chats that you get for being a member. I mean, I was a
Thank you.
member
Yeah.
for 22 months. You know, I I was a subscriber on his website. And I mean, if Tim hears this or whatever, my username on the website was Captain Trips. Check my subscription status. I canceled it immediately after you told me to fuck off. So,
I mean, I canceled it on the live too, so I straight up just unsubbed from everything, canceled the membership
yeah,
on live
you
there.
know,
So yes,
I'm still subscribed on YouTube just to get the updates and everything. I'm still gonna watch the show. I love a lot of the guests that he has on. They give out more information on his show than they'll give out in an interview with the mainstream or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, that situation there, I admit that I should have worded it differently, but still, I would have rather him, made a comment on, the whole censorship thing than him, just basically cussing me out. But the thing is, it became apparent after that, what, 2 days later, he finally decided to get caught up on what was going on. So that right there shows that he had no idea, or he had no interest in finding out what was going on.
Mm-hmm. And it's really worrisome that, for 2 weeks you're getting money hand over fist over this, and then all of a sudden you just want to kind of. I want to, like I said, I feel like he turned tail and ran because it hit too close to home, especially with the videos of, her first appearance with Adam Krigler and Ian Crossland kind of being chummy with each other, which I don't care. Nobody cares. It's really not the problem. It's the only reason that was brought up is it could be a reason as to why, because it, like I said, it hits too close to home for him,
Yeah, I mean, when
and
I
with
saw that
everything going
video,
on in his, with everything going on in his life, all the swattings and everything, I do understand kind of the freak out moment. And like you said, you should have worded it a little bit differently, because disavowing Eliza Blue over the censorship issue, I get it. I get that part too. But for me, I don't want to say too much here, because I told you a little bit behind the scenes here. But for me, it enraged me as well, because we're hitting this issue. We're talking about this. We're going through all of this, and it's largely being ignored from one of the most prominent voices while everybody else is speaking up. And it just concerned me a little bit that he would actually start to, number one, make money hand over fist, not touch this as this whole situation, and then all of a sudden he just snaps like this on people watching, who are paying him, who are helping him further his own cause.
yeah.
So that hit for me.
And see, that's another thing, with the super chats. I know that he gets, maybe, I don't know, maybe around 100 of them, and I know there's no way he can read all of them on the air. But he gets super chats that have some useful information, or they're, the questions that the audience wants to hear, and sometimes it just feels like, he's ignoring them, on purpose. It's stuff that he doesn't want to bring up, and I know that's his personality. He doesn't want to be told what to do. He doesn't, especially from the fans, he doesn't want to be told, hey, we'll talk about this or talk about it. He has his show, and he has everything lined out the way he wants to do it. I mean, I completely understand that. But when he's getting blasted with all of this, with all of these questions and everything, I know that it's going to be stressful for him. I know that it's going to irritate him, because, it's going against everything he's got planned out. But if it's something this important, he should, at least kind of temper it back when he mentions it. I, I didn't expect that kind of reaction when I sent that, but it happened. And maybe it's just because everything that's been happening lately just been kind of boiling under his skin, with all the swattings and all this stuff going on, in the culture war and everything going on with the country, possible, World War III, all of that. Maybe it just, it's caused too much pressure and he had to vent. And if that's the case, I don't, I don't feel bad. I'm not angry at him for it, but maybe it's just that it was kind of a letdown. You know, a lot of his fans, have a lot of respect for him, and appreciate his commentary on everything. And maybe it's just, all of this kind of let everybody down. Maybe that's what it is.
Oh,
They
it
expected,
definitely was that.
yeah. It's kind of like a letdown. You know, I don't. I don't hate him for what's going on, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to keep giving him my money. That's for sure.
Well, it's frustrating. It is kind of like I've made deals about this situation too, and I'm an asshole. I'm always going to be an asshole. That's all who I am. But I'm an honest asshole. I'm gonna say things that will piss people off because you said things that piss me off. So why should I try to dance around your feelings when you don't even take mine into consideration at all with that kind of thing? That's my way of thinking. So yes, I've made videos that I've called him names. I've reached out at it kind of situation, but to purposely try to misconstrue the whole thing like we care so much about the lies of the whole thing. It's not about that. It's never been about that. It's been about the whole story broke because of the censorship reasons, because she got Brittany Venti kicked off of YouTube, got or not YouTube, but Twitter. She got the quartering, Yellow Flash. There are so many prominent voices that were on Twitter that brought up the whole issue, backing Brittany Venti, and they were kicked off those platforms. They were locked out of their accounts. And then she moves over to YouTube to have the same thing happen in that area based off lies. Like, this was public information. This was public images that were so-called private, that she was somehow being trafficked. I got some shit on my shirt, but somehow being trafficked yet again because of all this issue. And she does bring that up. And I do want to kind of show that here. Share screen. I don't need audio in this one. I fucked up my little live going through all this shit too because I didn't share the system audio, but I don't need it here. So
That's all good, man.
But yeah, on yesterday, she said, "Today I have decided to change my story as a survivor. I have been abused a third time on a massive digital scale. It's called image-based sexual abuse. Every individual knowingly profited off this content without my consent has become my abuser in my story." Now, there are videos and images out there where there was a fact check that kept popping up and disappearing off of this, and I don't see it on my end here. But it was just like, okay, none of what was happening is actually considered image-based sexual abuse because you willingly did this. World Star Hip Hop had actually sent out a response to this saying, yes, this was consent. She did sign. She did track us down to have this done. We did pay her for this. This was consensual in every way. So for her to actually say like, this is private stuff, this is like kind of revenge porn situation, this is ridiculous. And the fact that she's able to get away with this is such a fucking problem. It's another Vajayagate situation within the new Twitter under Elon Musk. Now, I've got my problems with Elon Musk as well, but I always said to everybody, you raise this dude up because of him buying Twitter and releasing all this information. You still need to watch out for the dude because he's got his own agenda that he's doing. And I do believe that, the purchase of Twitter, you have the largest platform of information as far as humans are concerned, how they react to things, their own mindset, to pump into this AI that he literally is creating while he warns humanity about AI. Nothing about this shit makes sense. But for this to happen on a new Twitter situation to where it's supposed to be a free speech platform again, it kind of brings into the whole question, the different boss, same story kind of situation, But yeah,
exactly.
It's for her to be able to go that deep into that and to bring this up and to, in just a few years now, she came up in roughly around mid to late 2020, and in what, 2.5, 3 years now, she becomes to the point to where she can take your voice away if she wants to. That's a huge problem. And that's what this whole thing has been about. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it wrong. It's never been about her lies.
This is kind of weird how she was able to expand, that quickly, expand her sphere of influence.
Should totally bring up the tweet videos. Yeah, I mean, we've all seen them. I mean, that's been going around there. The especially the one where she was on talking to she's supposed to be doing things for the children, but yet she's sitting there saying, in my perfect utopia, kids should be able to consent and the community get together. to see if this child could have sex with an adult. It's
Disgusting.
beyond. I mean, they're trying to put the pedophile part under the LGBT banner, and you're just trying to enforce that. No, fuck you. But yeah, Rogue Thought says it's completely unprofessional. It was, but like we both said, we do kind of understand. You know, there comes to a point where it boils up. Yeah, it's everybody has that pressure release moment. If you do not get rid of that, if you do not take away the pressure, you explode. I
Yeah,
understand that.
and that's what I'm saying. I think it was the I guess dropping of the veil. You know, he lost his composure, and that I think that's what upset and disappointed everyone.
Right. And I'm still waiting for the name of that PR firm too. I'm still waiting for my fucking check.
Yeah, yeah. Where's my fucking check, Eliza?
Oh God. That's we'll get into that here in a second as well. But Raxathon Maximus, goats are us. That's right. She definitely
bro.
doesn't understand the word consent in many contexts. No, she does not. But yeah, the whole let's get into this idea that we're a paid PR firm here for a second. I mean, how ridiculous is that the people that are sending him money, I can understand if they're like in the regular chat, you know, trying to push this narrative, and they still are. They're still trying to push the divide. They're still trying to. That's why he went to subscriber only. But they're still trying to push that, even in Jeremy Hambley's thing. You know, they're still trying to make people fight and say things. But what's your thoughts on this? We're a paid PR firm.
Well, I know where he's coming from. I mean, it's been a common tactic with different organizations for a while now. I mean, it was going on, you know, all the way back to the Cold War. You had these groups, non-government affiliated groups that you know, put out different kind of information. You would have them put ads in papers, and you know, you would have, you know, different protests. Like you would see different people standing on street corners with, you know, their stupid sandwich word signs and everything, you know, making certain kinds of statements, and that was all, you know, supposed to get people, you know, not really thinking about it, but they would always plant that idea. And the, you know, the modern term for that, you know, would be these, you know, the PR bots. I mean, they're not bots. I mean, they're shills, you know, and you know, you see these shills everywhere in a lot of chats. But this right here, I mean, it would take organization on a massive scale to have all of these people, you know. Yeah, yeah, you can have these walls, you know, full of phones or whatever, people making these comments under different accounts and everything. But for it to be happening like this, I mean, you're going to need a factory full of people with phones and, you know, computers and everything constantly, you know, putting up messages that, you know, just to compare to what was going on in the chat, you know, all week. And I know, I know where he's coming from. I've seen the videos myself, but you're not going to have these, you're going to have these bot farms talking about something like this. It's going to be people talking in, you know, like chat groups or whatever, like on Facebook. You know, you're going to have them putting up, you know, poorly made groups and pages trying to convince people of one idea or another. You're not going to have them talking about something like, you know, Eliza Blue getting people censored on Twitter. That's not going to help any other, you know, like an external, you know, organization or government. It's not going to help the US government. You know, why would anybody be spending money on a shill farm to embarrass Tim Pool?
Yeah, I mean well, I mean, to a point, I can understand that. You know, you know, look at our mainstream media, dude.
I think
There's
it's
millions and
just
millions upon millions of dollars pushed just to force a narrative onto people. You know, the whole anti-vax thing from
yeah,
COVID. You know, all of that. I can understand pumping money into a situation, but that's not what this was in any way.
no, not
That
at
was
all.
from us. Every single one of us that were saying, dude, you were on the front lines of this shit not too long ago. Where are you now? You know, there could have been some in that instance that were just like, you know, that kind of, let's stoke the fire a little bit here. But no, most of that came from us.
I think Tim's just spending too much time on 4chan. He's already got to that point where everybody's a shill.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I will have to give Tim credit under the amount of stress that this dude is been under, especially with the swatting and everything, especially with the hold on, I got to cough. Especially with the swattings, especially with everything that has come out. The Young Turks always making videos about him and misconstruing everything. There comes to a point to where I would have broke a long time ago myself. I'll admit that. But then again, I'm an asshole. I'm going to let it roll no matter what. Fuck you. Fuck your feelings because you didn't shit about mine in the first damn place. That kind of situation.
Yep. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm a nice guy or anything. I mean, I'm an asshole. I'm going to say what what I'm thinking, and a lot of the time I don't really take people's feelings into consideration when I say something. Right? That's how I am.
Right.
I'm not going to make any excuses for it.
But yeah, it's just this whole PR firm thing to kind of explain away what's happening in his chat. It's gotten to a ridiculous point. It's just kind of like, dude, you are making excuses for the fact that you don't want to touch this simply because it hits way too close to home. And that's the way I feel about the situation. I have nothing to prove that in any way. That's just my take from the whole situation.
Yeah.
Is it hit too close to home for him because of, everything that he knows about the back end of this situation. The fact that he sent Shane Cashman out there to do a story on Eliza Blue before all of this popped up, and then to conflate that, well, we're sending him out there to do the story now. He was already out there, or had planned to at least do the trip before any of this popped off.
Yeah.
By his own admission.
And I think everybody knew when he mentioned that. Everybody knew that it was not going to be an objective piece, that it was just going to be another fluff piece. You just have to look at the last show that she was on, where Shane Cashman is just, he's just groveling at her feet. Oh, I love you, I love you. Yeah,
Right.
that guy is going to write a hard-hitting piece of journalism about this woman. Yeah, sure.
And let's go ahead and show that just real quick.
Looks like we got a sound issue.
Oh shit. That's right. There's no sound because all right. I gotta do this again. Screen share. Let's restart. See, this is what I did last time. I'm an asshole. All right. Let's put it back, restart.
Yep, Shane Cashman. I'm at Shane Cashman everywhere. You can go on timcast.com and check out the Inverted World stories and the recent stories I've been doing, and working on some new ones right now. And Eliza, grateful for your work and awesome to be here with you.
I love you so much, Shane.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I'm like your biggest fan.
Thank
I'm
you for
very
supporting me so
excited.
much online.
I love you so much. I think you have a creative mind. And I told Shane one time, I said, I firmly believe that I had this feeling, my God, I said, I need to ask Shane to take my picture and write an article, because I have a feeling his work will end up being Warhol-esque in a way where it's,
thank you.
I'm serious.
Thank you.
I don't know how else to articulate it, but I think you're really gifted and very talented, and I'm grateful.
Yeah, we've been talking about it. Right on. Yeah, we got something.
Yeah, we're going to do a thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be
know what I
awesome.
think would be really cool? And I know you're trying to end the show, but I've had this vision a little bit of you coming out to the farm and really seeing what my day-to-day life is like.
That's the goal.
It's totally different than this glam version.
Yeah, that's the goal. I love doing stories like that where I can just kind of.
Do you have any overalls? Do you have any boots?
Yeah.
Do you have any slash
From my past
boots?
life on a farm where I grew up.
Word.
Yeah.
Do you like cats?
I've got two.
Okay.
I'm excited.
And you can bring your wife.
Perfect. Yeah, it'd be great. I was excited to hear.
Yeah, that's just how can anybody expect for Shane to be impartial to the whole thing because of that,
Yeah, it's just so cringy. hearing that whole exchange, and then thinking back to Tim talking about sending Shane Cashman out to investigate the situation. He'd already planned to have him out there to do a fluff piece. All he did was just ask, a few extra questions. He changed up the script a little bit, and that was it.
And as far as the Eliza Blue thing, like, if you guys don't understand, this woman has, I mean, it's sickening here because now, all right, I'm going to get into this a little bit as soon as I find it. She showed up on Elijah Schaefer and Sydney Watson's show. It was, God, what was it? It was early December. I remember that. 128. Everything has been kind of scrubbed from YouTube, so I have to go into the Blaze TV thing. But it kind of raised the alarm for me about this woman because she was talking about her story at the very beginning, making jokes and smiling about her situation as far as that goes. And I'll find it here in a second. CEO. But yeah, that's what put me on the radar. And I remember sending a super chat because I listened to that show religiously. That was great. While that was going on until the whole Jack
Yeah, that
Murphy
was a lot of fun.
situation.
Yeah, I miss that show. It's sad to hear about all of the infighting and all of the other stuff that was going on in the background there, because the chemistry that they had on the show, it seemed like they were friends, and then you come to find out all of this bad blood between them.
Yeah, at the very beginning, it was awesome. I mean, they did have good chemistry together, especially with the whole back and forth bullshit that they would have. It was just like, it seemed like two friends sitting down, just bullshitting with each other, talking about things. But yeah, that's what put her on the radar for me. And I remember Sydney getting mad at me because I had sent a little super chat, and I was like, something just doesn't seem right here. She's smiling and laughing about telling something that's so horrific in her past. Sydney's just like, it's kind of like that whole calling out a survivor situation. She's just like, she didn't say anything out of the way. She's just like, well, you're just an asshole kind of situation, and I'm just like, fair enough. You kind of got a point, but yeah. But as soon as I find that, I know it was about. Damn, I know it was about the Rittenhouse situation where she was on, and they were in Chad Prather's studio at that point. Is it this one?
Well,
no, that's not it. Okay. But yeah, there was one of those. I'll find it here in a second. But there was one of those that kind of set me off in that, and it's to see her pop up pretty much everywhere. After that, it was just kind of like, it was concerning to me that nobody had ever brought it up before, and nobody had ever started to question that. But it's kind of why I started getting the background of things.
People don't really want to call out or question people who claim to be survivors of trafficking. I mean, it's one of the worst things that a person can go through. And when you have somebody come out and speak about trauma they've experienced, you don't want to be the asshole that says, well, you're just making this shit up. But with her, I mean, from the start, she kind of put off that vibe. I mean, you don't see any other kind of survivors making jokes, talking about it in any kind of a cheerful manner. You don't talk to somebody who's like lost a child or watched somebody die, talk about the experience with a smile on their face.
Right, you definitely don't do that, and I think I found it. Why is it not opening?
Yeah, calling yourself a survivor is a great shield against probing questions.
Oh, you son of a... Wait. It's there, but why can't I act? Oh shit! Did they lock the?
Yeah, they probably.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me they. Hold on. I want y'all to see this shit. Don't tell me they lock the access to it. Where is it?
Yeah,
Just had it.
Probably happened in the instance she set off that lawsuit.
Right here, 11/17/2021. Okay, here we go. I'll find the little spot here in a second. Let me take that off screen real quick. But yeah, that's kind of what brought it up to me. Is she
of
was going
COVID.
through the.
Because of COVID.
Here we go.
Bring a little. Actually, let me see how I look on camera. Okay, perfect, flawless, great.
Elijah, is
No,
this
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Is this a jacket that you want to emulate? Do you want to be wearing this?
Look, I'll never look as fabulous in it as you do. I gotta say this.
Well, that's a lot to unpack. I don't want to take up the whole time talking, but you know,
That's why we brought you here.
I know, but I mean, it ain't the Eliza show yet. It ain't the Eliza show yet. No, you know, so I'm a survivor of human trafficking. I was sex trafficked at age 15. Or I'm so sorry. Let me get my life together. I was groomed at age 15. I was sex trafficked at age 17. So I was groomed at age 15. I met a photographer at the Vans Warped Tour, and we started communicating. We talked for 2 years, and because this is back in the day, I'm 40 years old now.
No.
I'm just looking at Elijah.
I was like,
I brought you your little your
he's
little
like,
head
tell me the
things.
most intense story, and then he's gonna try to.
He's wiping his head with his rundown.
These studios are always made for
Elijah,
women,
I brought
and
you.
they're always
You look
warm.
great.
And
No,
I'm always sweating.
No, I can see he is sweating.
I'm always just sweating in these studios with a hot
I have
light.
that effect on people.
Yeah, I know. It's like, woo.
I
I
have that
brought
effect
you.
on people.
Hold on though. I did bring you your.
See, that's kind of like that's what brought it up to me right there. It's just like you're talking about this thing and you're making jokes about how you're so supposedly so hot and so sexual, and you're making everybody just kind of sweat about this. What? Who does this? I mean, seriously, who? If you're a survivor of sexual trafficking, who the fuck tries to make yourself seem so sexual and sell sex appeal to everybody? I've had people, I know people in my past that were raped and situations like that. And now everybody responds to this trauma differently. I get it, but who does the things that she has done?
Oh no.
I mean, you can't say that.
It's mind-boggling, you know. I mean, I don't know what to say. Seeing her act like that with, you know, her supposed, you know, troubled past and everything, and she talks about it like, you know, some of it talk about going, you know, to an amusement park, or, just having a day out. You know, she obviously didn't pick up any acting skills when she was in Hollywood.
Oh God, no. Oh God, no. But it's the way she just flows off with the whole thing within that kind of like just that opening statement in that it just kind of like while I was listening to it, I was just like, wait, hold up, what? I mean, I get it. You're excited because, you know, she even says this is like the third podcast I've been on since I've become public with it. I get it. You're excited to get that out there, but you're sitting there making jokes, trying to doll yourself up and do all this. Like it's just like she won't say who her traffickers are because of legal reasons. Come the fuck on. Number one. Number two, you've already outed yourself at this point. You put yourself out there on video, you know, you're saying, oh, well, I just don't want to do this because they could find me again. Well, I found you. I know exactly where you live. I know your address. I know all that. It's easy as fuck. I mean, there are pay $2 and you know who anybody is, where they live, things like that, as soon as you know their name, you know?
Yeah, it's like she doesn't have an understanding of how the internet works. You know, she doesn't understand that all of this stuff that she's done in the past, that, you know, she's claiming, you know, to have been, you know, non-consensual. You know, it's all out there in the public. It's all uh observable, I guess. Yeah, anybody that wants to find anything on her, they're going to find it. You know, no matter what she does. You know, she can put as many takedowns, you know, DMCAs or whatever as she wants, but you know, it's not going to count as, you know, any kind of, you know, crime, no kind of trafficking or whatever. Anything that she's going to try to construe as trafficking, it's, you know, it's normal stuff that people have been doing on the internet for years.
Yes. But to go to this extreme with it, to cover up something that is, it's literally, it poked the biggest hole in her story, you know?
Yeah, it ruined her entire timeline.
And there are things that I'm still trying to kind of work out in the background. It points. There is an adult movie out there that I have kind of shared with other people it's kind of questionable if it is her, but it's the same story just played out in a different light kind of situation, and I can't find anything to corroborate other than just maybe this is, maybe this isn't. I don't know. I don't want to come out with any of that information because if it's wrong, well, fuck, I look like a biggest asshole in the world, you know. But Lone Wolf does make a little comment here. It's kind of funny. Seems like everything started with Sydney, Eliza, and Jack Murphy. Just an odd observation. You kind of got a point. I love Sydney to death because she kind of like stumbles her way into this shit and has absolutely no idea what's happening as she does it until after the fact, and it's great. I love it. She just fumbles around.
No, she's adorable.
But I do love
I love
Sydney.
seeing her. Yeah.
She has like her videos and everything. She takes a deep dive into a lot of very, very disturbing and incredibly fucked up situations. And I love the fact that she actually does this because these are things that even if I attempted to even break the surface of, I'd probably go insane. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, she does seem to stumble upon this shit without even realizing what she's done. But yeah, it's let's go back to the whole Tim thing as
right.
far as that goes. Now, there was one part of Alive that kind of struck me because I saw you in his chat and I saw you calling this shit out. Where he was just like, he said, no, we had an email from the real Scrotes Magotes that was all fake. You remember that?
Yeah, I sure do.
Kind of tell us about that a little bit here.
Well, like I said, it's either two things. You know, he's making this shit up as a cope, or it's some psycho on Reddit with a very similar name to my YouTube username. And he was just going, he was paranoid about how somebody, was, stealing his identity to make him look bad, or, as Eliza would say, he was being trafficked. And I I found out about it and I went on there to try and clear it up. And this guy's just attacking me left and right on there and ended up getting me banned, which, whatever. Reddit's, a fucking pile of shit anyway. But that's what I think. It's either, Tim is making that shit up, to make himself feel better, or, it's that psycho sending him and, pledging his entire fucking disability check to Tim.
Yeah. I can understand how that could be misconstrued because I mean my username with his is different than any username that I use on anywhere else. I kind of do that on purpose. And I'm sure everybody else does as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I try not to have any kind of overlap on different sites, as far as usernames go. Like the only overlap that I have is with Discord and like Steam, and that's it. I'm always gonna be something different on a website. I guess I'm just kind of paranoid, about that kind of stuff. I'm always trying to keep it to where if anybody's trying to get any information on me, they're gonna have to work just a little harder. They're going to have to rely on more than just going to, what is that website? Intellius or whatever.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I have so many usernames out there. Even I have to reset passwords. And what is my username again on some sites that I haven't used in a while?
Oh yeah.
But
always trying to keep things OPSEC.
Anything that I do want that I don't care about being public or anything, I do use the drunken senpai kind of situation. And that came up because with gaming people, yeah, I suck at games unless I'm drinking, because I play games so long while drinking, I can't play them sober. I'm shit, but while I'm playing with people, I can see their strengths and their weaknesses, and I help them kind of develop them out a little bit more. So that's where the senpai part came out, So I keep that username for anything that I don't really care about being public, but any other username or something that I've been involved with, I've kind of let it made known that, that our Bracewell 21 is the username that I use on during these when I was sending super chats to you are here, things like that. And apparently Sydney didn't even know that. Like she just caught on to the whole fact after I had mentioned, "Hey, do you remember me? You getting mad at me for that under that name? Do you remember that?" Apparently she just made that connection. But yeah.
Well, no, with this one, I took it from I can't remember what brand or product the commercial was for, but it was Malcolm McDowell, and I think Morgan Freeman. Maybe it's been so long since I've seen it, but I think Malcolm McDowell said something like "totes my loads." I was like, whatever. So I just changed it up a bit. I thought it was funny. The other part was from a Green Jelly song.
The Scrotes Magotes. By the way, my wife was supposed to be here today as well, but she's kind of like no, we ain't doing that. No. I'm too
It's fine.
anxious about it. But she wanted to say your username is awesome. She loves it.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
But yeah, it's I do have to have I do have to question a little bit here. Tim was mentioning, he's getting nasty things sent to him because of this, death threats and everything. Did any of that include you?
No.
Okay, so you weren't involved in any of that either.
No, I personally think that's disgusting, and I think anybody that would do something like that, they've probably got some really deep-seated mental issues that they need to seek therapy for.
100% agree.
Maybe hit Ian up for some DMT or whatever. It might help.
I don't know. I think it'd be awesome to sit there and watch him just trip out one time. Like the dude is either hit or miss with him. Either he hits the nail on the head every time, or he's just so out in left field. It's like he's never paying attention to shit ever in his life.
Yeah, he's kind of he comes off as
he's a weird
naive, but I love him, and when he gives out a good take, it's really good. It's nice to see him hit a home run every once in a while.
It is. I will admit, like I said, I would love to sit there and just chill with his ass one time, just to kind of, just to mess with the man. Because I think it'd be fun as hell just to sit there and bullshit around with him for a little bit. Yeah, that'd kind of be fun.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I know it would be. Especially out there.
As far as this, I do have to admit, though, he did hit the nail on the head during that freak out moment. And he's just like, as far as the censorship is concerned, this will be taken up with Twitter's safety team or their team like that. You have to understand, fucker. This is a problem because she is right there with the VP of Trust and Safety. The person that's going to be the other person above her, other than the CEO and the president of Trust and Safety. So there's nobody else she answers to except those two who aren't concerned really in the slightest about somebody like Brittany Venti in the corner, So that was a complete swing and a miss.
Yeah, he was so close to getting it.
But yeah, it's
whatever. It's done, and you can either take Tim at his word that he's finally come to understand the situation, or you could say it's just I don't know, trying to walk back on everything. That it's damage control, any of that. Yeah, you can believe one or the other, but to me, it's just like whatever. He told me to fuck off, so I did.
Understand. I completely I do understand that completely. And I kind of have the same kind of thought process on that. And I honestly don't know what to think about this, because he says, okay, I didn't snap on my people because, or I didn't snap on my followers because they're not really followers. No, that's a swing and a miss. You're still trying to, I kind of want to take Adam Krigler's side on this. Like, he wants to be the smartest person in the room, and he's never wrong. I understand why he was saying that now.
Well, like, in my mind, he could say that he didn't snap on his viewers or his fans because to him, I'm just a bot. He believes that the person who emailed him is the real Scrotes Magotes, or it's just some bullshit he's making up. It could be either one. I mean, I emailed them to explain the situation. He didn't say anything about what I said in my email, so that it's either they didn't read it, or he's just making that shit up about him being emailed by the real Scrotes Magotes. And
Okay.
I'm never going to know the truth. He's never going to say anything. His ego is too big for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said in that video. Your ego is too big. You need a fisheye lens now to cover, to frame your head in this situation, because it's true. He's never going to admit that he was in the wrong with this, and that would
Yeah.
do a whole lot more to be able to justify, not justify, but to be able to reconcile with that whole thing. If you were to just be like, look. Okay, I was wrong. I apologize. I'll try not to let it happen again. That would go a lot further than just be like, nah, I'm still sticking to my shit, but yeah, you want me to talk about it? Here we are.
Yeah.
Fuck. It seems very disingenuous, but I do have to say, dude, you are one of the most prominent people in this area bringing up these things. So I have to at least give some kind of leeway to the fact that we do need him. We honestly do, because without him, there's going to be a huge hole in that area, and a lot of things are going to go swept under the rug without somebody like Tim calling him out. Because albeit all credit to Jeremy Hambley, who is now surpassed, he's starting to gain a lot of people within his lives. I do love the fact that he does his little drunken live streams sometimes, because the dude's fucking real with it. He'll tell you to go fuck off, but you expect that from him,
Yeah.
But in this whole situation, dude, to just try to walk it back like this, it's just, I have CNN vibes going on right now with that, and it just kind of worries me. If he would bring, like, I get it being prominent voices, these experts and things like that, but one thing that's always been missing is something that I've tried to bring to the forefront. Bringing you on, trying to make Freely Ashley start up her own channel, and all of a sudden, within a month, she just blows everything out the water, and fuck, she's got over 100,000 in a month and a half. I swear to God. But yeah, it's like I'm trying to bring regular people into the conversation, because that's what all this is missing. You hear everybody else's, these prominent voices, you hear experts talking all the time, but nobody ever hears from people like us. Nobody ever hears from people like you. We don't hear your ideas and your thoughts, even in chats, because you only have a certain character limit before you can get them out there. And I think if people would start doing that more often, it would be an incredible start to any kind of show. Even if you would do it just once in a while, just bring on some random person that can at least play ball with the rules. Even though I'm very, very loose with the rules as far as our YouTube is concerned. But if somebody can actually have those conversations, it would start something incredibly big, because these people, like, there are some others out there. Jeremy Hambley does play really close with his audience. Sydney's starting to do a little bit more of the same. But if somebody like Tim, or somebody like Jimmy Dore, or some of these Blaze Media personalities, these Daily Wire personalities, would talk to regular people as well, I think it would stop this disconnect between their audience and them. And if they could do this once in a while, just out of the blue, once in a while, just have a random person say something, speak their words, I think we could start something bigger than what we have now. Because the whole narrative is literally, well, the mainstream media tells you what to think and what to believe. do you really trust them? Because I don't. And you said at the beginning, you don't. So it's the same shit, you know?
Mhm.
I would
Yeah, I'd like
love
to
it
see.
if these people would start doing this.
I'd like to see less of the man on the street stuff where they're only showing these idiots giving the wrong answers to common sense questions. Yeah, I'd like
Yeah.
to see more like more regular people giving their mind on what they think about what's going on in the country.
And
Uh,
that's what
uh,
I'm trying to start up. And like the whole little thing I have, it's the outro, and I did a little ad kind of out there. It's what is everybody missing? Your voice kind of situation. And
yeah,
and this is what I'm trying to start and what I'm trying to bring up because like I wanted to reach out to you and I wanted to talk to you about this situation because I know you are human. I see you in these chats. I've seen you in other places as well. You are talking, you are speaking, you are being vocal. So why not actually have your voice heard as well? And this was a big situation to do this with. I'm not going to lie because yeah, this one involves you.
yeah.
But getting back to the whole thing, let me ask you a serious kind of serious question.
Okay.
Oh, okay. This is a serious question, but it's going to be kind of a little bit difficult to answer as a whole. After everything that's happened, could you really support him again?
Not monetarily. I mean, he told me to fuck off, and after something like that, I'm not going to argue with him. If somebody doesn't want my money, I'm not going to give it to him. I'm still going to watch him for his guests and everything, but I I mean, I'm trying not to hold it against him. I know he's a human and I know what he's been going through, for the last few months. But still, I'm sorry, but I took it personally. So yeah,
Understand.
I'm done as a member. I'm done as a subscriber. And I mean, if he's got something to say, that's meaningful or whatever, yeah, I'll listen to it. But I'm definitely not as big of a fan as I was before. He told me to fuck off and not let the door hit my ass on the way out.
That was kind of harsh. That was
Yeah,
kind of harsh. I'll admit that.
yeah. And I mean, it, I don't want to say it hurt, but it definitely pissed me off. And there's
Understand.
no way that I don't think anybody could support, someone that they I don't want to say looked up to. I mean, I relied on a lot of the stuff that he said uh because it didn't have, the agenda behind it. It didn't have any of that corporate spin on it. There wasn't any of the political uh ideology pushing a lot of it. It was, straight from the source. You knew who the people putting out were, how they're being supported. Yeah, I mean, like some like Daily Wire or whatever. You know that there's a lot of there's a lot of agenda behind it. I mean, it's coming from big conservative. It's coming from conservative Inc., whatever you want to call it. But as far as that all goes now, it's I guess I'm just back at the point I was in 2015. I'm still going to be getting my information and everything from independent sources, but you know, I'm probably going to limit my intake of his content to just IRL, and that'll be it.
Well, hold on. Yeah, I can understand that too. Like once in a while, I will catch. I'll see the title of the video, but like he says, I'll take this off because it's all kind of played out situation. He said his piece with things, but I'll read the title if it's something I'm not interested in. Dude, I mean, you literally you might have been talking to Scrotes Magotes, but you were talking to me and thousands of others too. I mean, you lost 40,000 on Social Blade what Social Blade. You lost 40,000 subscribers across every bit of your platforms there, and I'm pretty sure you're lying about the membership area as well. And I'm going to go ahead and say that because if you lost 40,000 there, not all of them will probably subscribe to you on your membership only, your own website. But I'm going to guarantee, like I said in the video, my little petite measly $10 ain't shit to you. But what happens when thousands do it? You know? And I think that's kind of why he walked all this back.
Yeah.
I think that's why he's trying to start to play ball again. But it's kind of like,
Well,
dude,
he might recover from it.
times, and you still want somebody to throw a ball at you. You know.
I mean, you could look at the chat last night or at his Twitter feed. When he put up that poll, there are so many people telling him not to quit. We need you. He's going to have a lot of fans that are going to rebound on him, and he knew that. From the beginning. Right from when he read my member chat, he knew he was going to piss some of his people off, but they were going to rebound because a lot of people, depend on him and his show for their news.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that watch his show, they're not watching CBS, they're not watching NBC, they're not watching ABC, they're not watching any of that shit. They go to him for it because they don't trust the mainstream media. And I don't want to sound, I don't want to sound smug or arrogant and everything, but he knew from reading that chat that he was going to cause this little stir in his membership, and so we're going to cancel, unsubscribe, but more were going to come in, and all he had to do was make that little poll, and it was going to stir things up even more. He was going to have all these people in his chat, tell him, "Oh, don't go, Tim. Don't retire. We need you. You're important for the cause."
Yeah, that was very, very, very underhanded. That whole little poll. Smash the like button if you don't like Eliza Blue.
Mhm.
Hit the dislike if you if you do trust her or some shit like that. Like, that was incredibly underhanded to do because the dislikes were flying the fuck in, and he saw that.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was, hold on. I think that was one of the very few times, even on a video or a live that he's done, where the dislikes were more than the likes, and he was just like, how do I bring this back? Let's be sneaky and underhanded about the situation. And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way when I saw that pop up, and I was just like, what the fuck are you even trying to think about doing here? Like, dude, you're on Brian Stelter level at this point right now. That's so disingenuous. But Rogue Thought, let me bring this back. I'm thankful for Tim in a funny way. I found many other small creators like yourself. Thanks, Scrotes Magotes, for being here. Thank you, Rogue Thought.
Thank you.
And if you ever want to speak out, let me know, dude. Email's on the page there. It's yourvoice@startmail.com. Let's start having y'all talk about it. Let's see. Manipulative. His poll for retiring is about the same.
Yeah.
The dude can't. He can't. Let's just be honest. He cannot.
I mean, that whole poll was just, an ego boost for him. That's really all it was. Just damage control.
It wasn't an ego boost because that poll was kind of like, you should quit.
Well, those comments can be easily ignored, especially with the ego that he has. He can just sort through them, and he only focuses on the adoration.
Yeah.
And then in the end, you see, what his response was to the poll and everything. What he's canceling one of his channels. And he's only going to be doing IRL. Yeah.
But it's kind of, it's a very manipulative move. Number one, you understand the fact that if you put that on Twitter, everybody that hates you is going to vote, and the people that really don't care, they're just going to pass it up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I feel like that was his way of just saying, well, I did it. I stopped one of my channels, but I'm still here. The dude can't quit what he's doing because he has too many people relying on that paycheck at this point in time. If I work for a small company at this too, I know the owners of the company, and if they were to do the same shit, I'd kind of feel very slighted in some way if they were just to close up shop tomorrow. Be like, dude, y'all fucked me. You fucked me hard. There's no
Yeah.
lube to that situation. Come on, what are you doing?
No, I mean, I know he's probably got a lot of stuff on, in the pot right now, with his coffee shops and everything. There's no way that he's just gonna, pull the plug on all of it.
No, I mean he's in way too deep at this point. If he
Yeah.
were to just pack up shop and leave at this point, there'd be a hell of a lot more backlash than he's already gotten.
Yeah. Yeah, because I
Because
know
he
a lot
would
of
be the
people.
Eliza Blue. He would be a new
Oh,
Eliza Blue at that point.
yeah. Oh man. Yeah, he's got a lot of people excited for a lot of these projects that he's working on, and I mean, it would be, I mean, just so much worse for him to pull the plug on all of this just because, of a temper tantrum that he had with his fans.
Yeah.
A lot of people still like him, and a lot of people, still want to support him, and just for everybody going through the turmoil last week, to cause him to end it all. No, it would be inexcusable.
Right. And if it were a whole, really honestly, for me, I've had a lot of people that I call friends, and I'm sure you have too, that you get into fights, you get into arguments, it boils up, everything explodes, and then you're just like, fuck it, whatever, that kind of situation.
Mhm.
If you were to do the same kind of thing and be like, look, I was in the wrong, I apologize, instead of just trying to justify it, I think the damage control would be a hell of a lot better than what he's trying to do at this point.
Yeah.
Because it seems very disingenuous for me to support you, knowing that you really do hate my guts for trying to bring up a situation that kind of hits close to home for you to snap, especially on you, using you as the outlet to snap on everybody else that tries to bring up the situation. And, dude, just straight up, just be genuine about it. Look, I fucked up. I apologize. It's gonna happen. I'm human. Let's move on. Good. Got it. Get you. You know, I 100% agree with that. But the apology to Jeremy Hambley and everybody else, I do kind of feel like that was genuine. I feel like he was just like, these politicians are dying left and right. We've got all the shit going on. We don't have time to fight. We just need to kind of come together and get the news out there. Yeah, I get you with that. You are correct. Where's our apology?
Yeah. Well, it's either Tim wanted to make his apology to Jeremy as kind of a shotgun blast to everyone else. He sent it to him and wants to cover everybody else with that single apology. Or it could be that he doesn't see any problem with what he said to the rest of us, that he thinks this is all confined to, him and other creators.
Yeah.
And I,
And
I, I know I've said it before, but I admit that I worded my member Chad or whatever poorly. I should have used different words, but the point remains, we wanted him to say something about the situation, and if it caused too much stress for him, then yeah, I'm sorry for that. I didn't want to make him have this kind of meltdown. I just wanted an answer.
yeah, it kind of, I don't want to say too much with it.
No, I know.
I really don't. But yeah, the answer is it hit way too much too close to home for him, and
Yeah.
he kind of wanted to kind of thinking in the whole, hey, if I don't say anything, it'll all just blow over. Well, it went on for 2 damn weeks. At some point, you've got to just step up there, dude.
Yeah,
You
I'm gonna be
know?
honest. I think it was the release of the home video that kind of pushed him to damage control mode. It kind of just obliterated everything he was saying about how he didn't know her, she wasn't important or anything. Well, after that came out, his ties to her became just a little more apparent. Everybody knew that this whole, no, I don't know her, I don't care about, that was bullshit. She had close relations with his inner sphere, especially when the Cassandra Fairbanks stuff came out, how close they were and how she canceled Brittany Venti's appearance on the show.
Oh, that was just straight up
just
disrespectful.
yeah, it destroyed his narrative.
Yeah,
And I think that was what caused the whole apology thing and him walking back on all of that.
Oh yeah, that probably spurred on the whole point of that, and well, that was a big component of it. But the whole Cassandra Fairbanks, now Cassandra McDonald, because she did get married, for her to be on Twitter just, hey, when you gonna let Brittany come on and say her piece on this? And she's just like, never, go away, go fuck yourself, dude. You were letting this woman run your company. She has say on who shows and who does not. And don't sit there and tell me that, oh, we've had her on the show 2 times, she's not important, nobody knows who she is. You don't have voices. If you were to say that about me, everybody would understand. But you have prominent people, you have people that everybody knows on. Yes, with Eliza Blue, there is a lot of people that have said, hey, I only know about her because she's been on your show. You have a point with that to a certain extent. But I've known about, and there's a lot of people that I've talked to that have known about this bitch since she started. She's not some unknown person like me. She's not some unknown person like Scrotes here. She is a prominent voice that rose to power by grifting, just like a lot of people do. And, in the right-wing space, there is a huge problem with that. I'm going to admit it. I don't consider myself right-wing, left-wing anyway. I'm politically fucking homeless. But it's just to see all this shit happen constantly over and over again. There is a problem in the right-wing sphere because these people do get propped up a lot. It's just like as soon as you start to gain any kind of relevance, everybody wants you to speak before they even do their due diligence.
I think that's because all you see pushed in the mainstream are, all of these extreme left actors, and everybody right of center or even center want to see people that they can relate to, that share their their interests, their beliefs, their values. So when somebody pops up and starts saying, hey, I'm on your side, and kind of gives you a little bit of comfort in where you're at, they're gonna glom onto them real quickly.
Yes. Yeah. It happens all the time. That's on both left and right. I mean,
yeah.
The problem is, the left wing eats themselves all the time. The right wing does the same, but the right wing does it publicly. The left just kind of does it in the shadows, and it has to be brought to light. That's the difference. Even when I went down to Katy, Texas for that whole little drag show at a church, I'm not even religious, but that's just horribly disgusting that the pastor of a church wants to, Taylor Hanson was there. There was a whole bunch of other people there. But to allow that at a church is incredibly fucked up. So I traveled from Alabama to Texas to support that whole thing, and to see people fighting on our side, right there almost in the middle of the fucking street. You're right there on the sidelines fighting each other, yelling and screaming at the top of your lungs. Y'all can do that in the background. Do it like the same day they do. Yeah. I mean, it was, but to see, people attack Taylor Hanson because, oh, well, he's a paid journalist and I'm not. Who the fuck cares? You're out there doing something, and you're going to fight over that shit right there in front of full view of everybody. Come the fuck on. Walk that back. Take it behind the fucking cars that were there. Because that's what they do. They keep it all online, or they're in the background fighting each other. You don't see that unless somebody brings it to light. Meanwhile, y'all motherfuckers are fighting in the middle of the street.
That's something that we were talking about. The group of friends and I were talking about how Antifa, they have this no recording policy anymore. They don't want people in their group taking video and posting it, or they don't want anybody live streaming, because a lot of that came out during the 2020 riots. People were seeing how the different factions were interacting, how there was a lot of infighting, especially in Oregon
Oh
and
yeah.
I think Michigan, Minnesota. You would see that during these live streams, and yeah, they put the word out. Stop live streaming, stop recording. I mean, maybe maybe people need to stop doing that on our side, and I don't want to say our side as in just the right. I mean everybody
Anybody
that
against the woke
yeah
shit.
yeah everybody that is against all of this degeneracy. you know we need to focus on them, not on each other.
I'm going to give a little bit of pushback on that. I'm sorry, I had to plug in my phone, but I'm going to give a little bit of pushback on that. I actually do think this needs to happen now. I do think that this needs to be the forefront of everything, because this is what catches people like Eliza Blue. This is what catches people like Jack Murphy. To have this fighting going on, to have this pushback going on. This is how you catch these people who are straight up lying, and you do it in front of full view. But in situations where it's just like, well, you're a paid journalist and we're not, we're out here defending kids and you're just doing this to get paid. Shut the fuck up. I mean, they're bringing
No,
the same damn shit,
I understand.
That's disingenuous as shit. But to catch people like Eliza or Jack Murphy right there in front of full view and everybody, I agree with that 100%.
Oh no,
Because
no, we're definitely on the same page as far as that goes, because you can spot these grifters easily if you know what to look for.
oh yeah,
And I don't want to bring anybody else into it, but like you look at people like was it Huckabee and Hannity, all those types, the ones that are always hawking shit on you in the middle of their shows. They're not as genuine as you think they are when it comes to this stuff. I mean, look at Hannity. I mean, that he is such a snake in the grass. I mean, he will say anything that he thinks his audience wants to hear, as long as he's getting paid. He's not going to be the person out there, in the front, like, Taylor Hanson. He's not going to be out there, exposing all of this. He's going to be, back in his office or back at his home collecting a paycheck off of you.
no. You have a point with that. It's kind of like what was that dude? Who was that dude that did the 2020 debate? Who was the moderator for
I know
that?
you're talking about. Was it
That tall,
damn it.
scraggly.
I know who you're talking. He looks like the lawyer on The Simpsons that's always representing
Yeah.
Mr. Burns.
I mean, as soon as he did that, it was just Chris.
Can't remember his
Let me
last
look it
name.
up.
Chris Wallace.
Yeah, Chris Wallace.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That motherfucker. As soon as he did that debate, he's just like, "Fuck." They know now. I'm just gonna go work for CNN.
Yeah.
Like you have to know at that point.
Exactly. They always have a tell, and given enough time, they're going to show it.
Yeah. Or Brian Stelter getting kicked off CNN, and now he's a professor at fucking Harvard.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's just. It's almost incestuous.
No, that is the definition of that.
No, I was thinking
Yeah,
more along the lines of nepotism, but yeah, they are so intertwined.
Yeah, and they do protect their own, and we've seen that time and time and time again. If anybody rise to prominence and they're kicked out of it, well, they still have background. They still have something in the background. Somebody's going to pick them up and catch their fall. Yeah. And on the right, you don't have that. It's just, if you fail, you're done. That kind of situation.
They can always go to some worthless think tank that is just going to sit there, put out papers, and not really affect any kind of change.
But it's just all right. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
What do you think would be the biggest impact as far as bringing regular people like us to at least to the table to understand that we may have a difference in opinions or anything, but it's fine to talk about these kinds of situations and to be somewhat respectful about it.
Honestly, I don't know. I feel, and I know, I'm going to sound like Tim here, but it's just everything is so polarized in the country, and I think that's why we're so quick to go after each other, because we're in the situation in the country now where it's either you agree with me on everything, or you go along with everything I say, or you're just a piece of shit scumbag, and I've got nothing else to say to you, and I'm going to cut you off. And yeah, that's that. Uh, we've got to work on depolarization, and we've got to figure out a way to lower the volume on a lot of the agitators and the mouthpieces for the agitators and the subversives. We've got to do a better job of pushing them out, of the sphere of influence.
Yeah, catching one every year, 1, 2 every year is not going to be enough because there are so many people out there
Yeah.
that are just fuck.
I mean,
even
I have friends that I disagree with politically. We can still talk, we still bullshit, because, like with me, I was in the military, and, when I was deployed, you're able to get that kind of connection that you're never going to lose, even if you disagree on a lot of things. And I understand that a lot of people, don't have that kind of connection with other people like that. Um, we just got to work on, building those kind of strengths, those kind of connections.
yeah. And I all right. I'm gonna be completely honest. I've said it time and time again. I live in a predominantly black neighborhood. Me and my wife call this we're ghetto adjacent.
Hmm.
Half of our community, half of the block owns their houses, and the other half are Section 8. Like
Yeah.
it's a problem. And during the whole George Floyd situation, we're the only white people that live in this community, and we were so demonized, and everybody hated us for absolutely no reason. We reach out to the people, we take care of the people around us. Even so much that my neighbor right behind me, that behind my back here, she has a fear of frogs. I'll never understand it. It doesn't make sense, but she is deathly afraid of frogs, and she calls us every time there's a frog on her front porch because she won't go inside if there's a frog. I don't understand. But I help the woman bring in her groceries. She's an older lady. I help her bring in her groceries. I grab these frogs, and I do all this shit because she's human, man. And me and my wife used to walk the neighborhood and everything like that. Well, we should get back to that because it would definitely help out with health things. But we kind of stopped doing that after that whole thing because I was walking around at one point and I had a few kids come up to me that were just trying to harass and trying to jump me because I'm a white man in the situation. And it surprised the shit out of me because I thought I was going to have to beat some kids' asses. I literally did. Either that or I was just going to die in that situation because there was about 5 or 6 of them. But I thought I was just going to have to fight some kids. And this old dude, like, he lives across the street and a couple houses down from that. And he comes, like, he's got a knee brace and he's old as shit. He comes out there just tearing ass across the fucking yards with this cane in the air, ready to just start caning kids. And I'm just like, fucking A.
I love that.
And after that, I started reaching out to people and I was just like, look, you guys, you understand that just because this situation with George Floyd happened, that not everybody is this way. Like, you want to demonize me because of the color of my skin and everything like that. But I'm still out here carrying your groceries. You call me for something, I'm going to be there and things like that. It's come a point now to where almost half of the houses in this area are now have cameras that I have installed because they saw what I did, you know, and they saw that I put up the cameras, and a lot of the bullshit in our corner had stopped because the cameras were there. And once that started, it started to form a whole community behind us because I was able to get into these people's houses, and while I was working, I started talking a little bit, trying to get them, trying to get their whole take on everything, and they started to listen to me as I was talking to them about the whole situation. And our community now is so unified that if anybody, like, my information's out there, I've been doxed, but if anybody were to come up here and start fucking with the only white family in the neighborhood, I guarantee you're gonna have the entire neighborhood on your ass at that point. And it's that kind of unity that we do need to kind of get back to. And if a white person, the only white family in a black neighborhood can do that, I do feel like we can do that on a much bigger scale. Maybe not nationally as far as that's concerned, because you got way too many people who think differently, and there are already racists out there and shit like that. But I feel like that can be done on a much bigger scale than just like your personal neighborhood. But it does start in your personal neighborhood.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's caused a lot of us to lose that connection is the de-emphasization of going to social groups, going to church. You don't really see as many community gatherings these days as we used to. Like when I was growing up. I don't know how old you are. I'm 43, and when I was young, we had a lot of I don't want to say like community events, but we had our own traditions in our community that kind of kept us close together. And at least in the town I'm living in now, we kind of have things like that. We have a lot of um, religious events going on, but I kind of feel like now that's sort of an anomaly in the country. A lot of places you go, you're not going to see that kind of inner social gatherings. You're not going to see a lot of the different groups coming together to form one kind of community event that everybody can use to get to know each other, get like have all these different groups come together, just I mean not for any particular goal, just for social interaction. And it doesn't have to be any kind of group, no specific church denomination or anything. It only takes a few people getting together, and y- you know making it happen. you know it doesn't need to be any kind of government sponsored event or anything. I mean, it's just be like potlucks that we used to have. That's all it would really take, I guess. But the important thing would be to get rid of all the agitprop. Get rid of all of the propaganda that's filling the younger generation's heads with all of this divisiveness. Because as
Yeah.
long as that's there, that's going to be the biggest obstacle to it all. Teenagers and younger kids they're being pumped full of this stuff to make them hate other people, hate
Yes,
their elders,
definitely.
hate their parents. And as long as they're being filled with that, you know you can have as much socialization as you can get, and it's still not going to counter all of this sewage that's being pumped into their heads.
Yes, I will agree with that. And Muck brings up a good point here. He says the problem is that Americans don't really understand the problem, like what woke really means equals rebranded communism. Keep on using soft terms just hides the problem. Communism is thinking in opposed collectives like women versus men, black versus white, rainbows versus straights. It's no difference from workers versus capitalists. And he is correct. It's the same thing to keep us divided. Just because you think differently than I do doesn't mean that we can't sit down and have a conversation to come to some kind of compromise. Not, I don't want to say compromise, but at least understanding that there is a lot of things that we will agree on. And that's where we actually do need to start. It doesn't matter. I've had conversation with communism or communists, even though still to this day in our laws, since what I think it was the Cuban Missile Crisis, communists have absolutely, people who say they're communists, they have absolutely no rights within this country. If you say you're a communist, there go every bit of your rights. And that's still laws that are still supposed to be upheld to. Whether that's right, I would have to say yes and no to that, but it's still a thing. Um, it was a divisive thing to divide people up in point because of the Cold War situation, the Cuban Missile Crisis, all that was going on in that situation to kind of make people kind of out people who may think differently than you. And
a lot of those.
It's those kinds of things we need to kind of walk back, because like I said, you think differently than me doesn't mean you need to be drawn and quartered in the street.
Yeah, a lot of those laws, that came out during the Red Scare, that is mostly just. I don't want to say that it was political posturing, because there was a legitimate threat of Soviet infiltration in our institutions, but making just these wide sweeping laws or regulations against communists kind of didn't do anything to counter the Soviet influence.
No, it just kind of
And
pushed it.
all of what we're seeing now, I still believe it was all from Soviet operations. A lot of, the entire media apparatus is, it's been compromised by. I don't want to sound paranoid. I grew up, during the kind of end of the Cold War. I watched the Berlin Wall fall. I'm young, I'm old enough to remember when what was that? The Day After came out, and how that that movie scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. I remember the next day we had assembly, and we talked about the effects and everything. It scared the hell out of me. And I know I'm going to sound weird, but it kind of conditioned my childhood. I always had that scare, and it kind of pushed me into learning more about the Soviet Union, about the USSR, their nuclear capabilities and all of that. I just became obsessed with it. And after a while, I started learning about the KGB, how they operated, uh, how a lot of our universities had already been infiltrated. We had a lot of infiltration, even up to before World War II. And then at one point, I believe our entire State Department had been compromised by the Soviets. So you had all of these people in government positions kind of opening the doors, unlocking the gates for the people in the university sector to start, turning people's minds to mush. And you had a lot of, Hollywood elites connected to the Soviets that, kind of started pushing Soviet propaganda into entertainment. And that kind of, it was always there, but, kind of dormant, kind of subtle. And, towards like the 90s, like the early 90s on, it started, building up more and more and more and more until, you get to the 2000s, and it's just blatant in everything. And a lot of the stuff during that time period, it's coming back to us now. All the kids that were exposed to that stuff, they're now the ones out, burning businesses, beating up people in the streets, encouraging, children to get, child genital mutilation.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole puberty blockers do nothing. The puberty blockers are the same damn things used in chemical castration. All right, it's the same exact thing. But I
It's
mean,
hard.
all right, Muck. I don't know what's going on in the actual YouTube chat, but a lot of viewers are not showing up. I do see him on this end, and I do want to highlight this again because it did not show up. He says, "I grew up in West Berlin in the early '70s. Communists don't deserve rights because they will always try to destroy the existing society. Thus, society's rights shouldn't apply to them." I
Damn.
get what you're saying. I do. However, what came before your way of thinking? What came before your society's rights? Now, like, okay, here in America, we have freedom of speech, supposedly. We have the freedom to bear arms, supposedly. We have all these freedoms and everything like that. Yet we have what you could consider communism trying to destroy that. That's where I get what you're saying. I do. But because trying to destroy that, should I be able to unalive them in the streets? Or should I be able to push back and try to say, look, I don't agree with the way you're thinking. I don't agree with what you believe in with this, but I do agree with the fact that you should still be able to live. You should still be able to exist. And just because you may not agree with what's going on in my area, it doesn't mean that I should be burying. I get what you are saying, and he does go on to say Soviets did infiltrate every institution. Did you never watch Yuri Bezmenov? Yes, Yuri Bezmenov was, that was when I saw that whole little speech about the demoralization and everything. We are on the last step of that as well. If you do read the book, The Naked Communists, they give off the rules and everything as how communism starts to take over. And it is a scary parallel to us here in the United States as far as all of this is happening. But I don't believe that I should just be able to, oh, you're a communist, bang, bang.
I know where he's coming from. I've read a lot about what happened in East and West Berlin. I saw all of the documentaries and everything about the building of the wall, and
yes, as a matter of
it's
fact,
heartbreaking.
I was born. I was actually born in Germany on a U.S. Air Force base right around the time when the Berlin Wall was taken down.
Wow.
I remember Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall. That was beat into my mind because my dad was in the Air Force at that time. So yeah, I know a fair amount of that. Hell, I mean, people in my family are Jewish, and my mother is a foster child. The woman that raised her was a woman that immigrated to the United States after World War II. So she was literally living in Nazi Germany. My mother was more of a Nazi than she was an American in her way of thinking and her way of acting. I understand all that. But I don't think we should be able to just tear people away because of that,
one of the things that I remember the last big crossings was a pregnant woman, man and wife, I believe, jumped the river. The East Germans shot the husband, but the wife was able to make it to the other side, and that kind of stuck with me all the way up until the fall of the wall. I was, I couldn't believe. I mean, it was so close to happening, but that poor kid, they didn't get to grow up with their father, and that it just kind of. I mean, I don't want to say it increased my hatred for the Soviets, but I guess it kind of cemented, my belief that to them everybody was disposable, and you always have to keep that in mind when dealing with them. And I know, the Soviet Union doesn't exist, but it
the
still
belief
exists.
is still there.
Yeah, it exists in the hearts of a lot of people, and you always have to keep that in mind when dealing with them. They'll use your own beliefs against you because they know that your beliefs are stronger than theirs, and if they can use it as a weapon, they will, because using your beliefs, your values, and your rules against you is how they're going to get ahead of you to enforce theirs on you.
Right.
So you just always have to remain vigilant, against letting them get that upper hand. And I'm not saying that, yeah, you need to go and, we need to hunt down, the commies and all that, but
It is a problem.
you have to, you have to keep in mind that they are always dealing from a position of bad faith.
Yeah. But I do want to highlight this, and I'm going to touch on this. Is Muck says just ban them from every public job and education, and most importantly, call them communists instead of socialist. Okay. I'm going to say this, and I don't mean to, I just want to push back on the idea. I don't mean to sound like an asshole to you, even though this is going to come out as asshole-ish because that's who I am. If that were the case, if we were to do that, think about the COVID mandates. If you didn't take the jab, they were banned from every public job, education. You couldn't walk into a store. You couldn't buy your food. Would that be a thing? Because if we're following that ideology, if we do that, we open the door for what the COVID mandates tried to bring to us. And I don't agree with that. So just because I'm unjabbed and I will never get that, I was the one that stopped the mandates from actually happening at my job. I don't agree with the fact that these people shouldn't be allowed to survive. But I do get your understanding. I do get your anger, and I do get your thinking from this. I just think it's going to a final solution kind of situation. And I don't think we're there yet. We are creeping up onto it. I will admit that. But I don't want this to be a whole Holocaust 2.0 just because we don't agree.
I don't know. I mean, I understand the sentiment because I hate communists just about as much as anyone else could. But I think a lot of people that consider themselves communists in the West are probably nothing like communists in the Soviet Union. They don't have the same mentality. They didn't go through the same upbringing. They've never known what it was like, to go without. They've never had any real adversity in their lives. So they think, claiming to be, communist is, I guess, gonna give them some kind of adversity. Let them feel oppressed so they can LARP as, while they're fighting against the system and everything. When the system is pretty much behind them because they're useful idiots.
Yeah.
But dealing with them, you know, we can't treat them, like unwanteds or anything. I mean, that goes against our values, and we can't we can't not treat them like Americans, even though their actions and their beliefs are as anti-American as you can get. There has to be a way to deal with them that minimizes the kind of impact, the damage that they can do to everyday Americans.
Right.
Yeah,
Muck
it's
does
a hard
follow me up a
question.
little bit.
It
He
is a
says, I
hard.
never said they shouldn't survive. They should just simply not be part of a bureaucracy, propaganda, education sectors.
Oh,
They
we
can
already
have
have that.
private jobs and buy stuff just fine. Yes.
One
Okay.
of
I
one of the
agree with you on
things
that.
one of the things that you're asked when you go to join the military is, are you or have you ever been associated with the Communist Party? So how do you enforce that? When I went to get my security clearance, it took me a while because I had to put down family members and references going back, I think, 10 years. So they do follow up, but how do you know the people that you're talking to are being truthful? You see,
Yes.
that's the problem.
Yes. Unless
And you try and
unless we're all
enforce.
doing Neuralink kind of situation, I mean, Squirts Magotes could be lying to me about everything. I have to take him
Yeah,
at face value.
I could be an AI. I mean,
Right.
you've seen how smart.
That would be fucked up, would it
The
not?
latest AI. Yeah,
I'm sitting here
man.
talking to AI thinking it's a real human being, talking
Yeah.
about breaking Tim Pool and now communism.
Yeah, it's amazing how far AI's come. Back from the early 2000s when you're in chat and you start you're talking to somebody and then all of a sudden start saying, well, oh hey, check out this cool website that I go in. And, it's a download site for music or whatever. I mean, it's crazy. It's scary.
Right. All right,
But anyway,
Rexathon,
like,
I'm going to throw this to you before we kind of wrap this up. And if you guys have any questions for Scrotes, just kind of go ahead and throw it in chat right now. We're going to start wrapping things up here. He says, I disagree. If their values are totally different than the American culture, then they are the enemy. What is the American culture, though? I
yeah,
mean,
it's different
what
from
is our
each state.
culture? It's
Like,
different from person to person.
yeah, like I'm from
I
North
mean,
Carolina, and my my culture is more like growing up in the woods and that I grew up in different parts of the state, so I was able to see how everything went in each of those parts. Like where I grew up mostly, it was kind of a farming area, it's a farming community. You
right.
spend the week work in the field, and then on the weekend you go to the farmers market and sell everything you harvested. But in other parts of the state, they're growing tobacco, they're drying that out, or they're growing cotton, all of that. And then you have like a large military component to the state. So farming is really important to us. We had a lot of reverence to the military, especially like you ask any Carolyn, well, probably not today, but back then you could ask any North Carolinian, what they held closest to their hearts, and they're going to say, you know the Tar Heels, the 82nd Airborne, all of that. I don't know how it is today, but that's how it was back then. I come to
I'm sorry,
Texas.
the Tar Heel shit, that kind of rings so much true to Alabama here because, Roll Tide,
Yep,
that shit. It's the
that's.
same shit here.
I mean, that's what a lot of people immediately associate with Alabama.
Yeah.
Well, especially the guys I
That
had.
and somehow it's incest. I don't understand how that was a thing, but
Yeah, neither do I.
whatever.
I'm not going to go into stats for that, but it's definitely not an American thing. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, that was the thing with the Alabama guys that I deployed with. It's always Roll Tide, and there was another guy we had. It was always kicking stuff. I forget the joke, but yeah, that was it. That was immediately what you could identify them with. And it's the same thing here in Texas. With the Cowboys. Every part of this state has a distinct culture. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it goes yeah, we're American and everything, but where you grew up, where your community's at, it all has a distinct culture. Like where I'm at, it's one of the oldest cities in America, and it's one of the tiniest towns in Texas. But there's so much history here, and they kind of look on it, as something that they want, to show everybody. They want everybody to know about it, and that's how every community should be. There should be something that people in these communities, look up to, or something that they hold, dear, that they want to show off. They want everybody else in the country to know about it. So we kind of have this, shared experience, in the country. And I know it's hard to learn about every little town in the place, but if it's out there, it would be nice for people to be able to learn about it.
Right. And all right, I do like Rexathon's answer here with this.
Meritocracy.
That word, yes. Meritocracy, free enterprise, entrepreneurship, ability to do as you want without harming others. I like that answer, but it's kind of a broad spectrum of things. And I
It's very
will have to
libertarian.
say The only thing in our Bill of Rights, well, the only thing in our Constitution, as far as giving rights to citizens, that does harm others is the ability to vote. So I will give you that. And I do say that because your ability to vote, take it like the Trump Biden thing. Everybody voted against Trump because what they were told, and now look at the situation we're in because people didn't want to do any real searching on anything. They were just told what to do. So yes, that right is the only right we have that affects every single person. So I love your answer on that, Rexathon. But yeah, let's see. Also, another part of the American culture is working towards making a better community and building stronger families. I think that was thrown out the window a long time ago for most of us.
Yeah, definitely.
We do need to get back to that, and I do agree. But all right, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. As far as that goes, let's give some final thoughts on all this. I know we kind of bounced hard from the situation onto another one.
Yeah.
All right. So your whole thoughts on the Tim Pool situation attacking you? What you got with that?
Well, I guess all I can say is that I understand, where it's coming from, why it happened, and it's still kind of crazy that I ended up being the lightning rod for it, even though I understand how provocative, you know, what my statement was, and I freely admit that I could have done a better job with wording it. Uh, but I'm the kind of person where if somebody tells me to fuck off, I'm gonna fuck off. You know, as far as the show goes, yeah, I'm gonna watch for the guests, but I can definitely say I'm the not the supporter I was last week. And other than that, I'm gonna, I'm still keeping an eye on the censorship angle.
Yeah, and I will it too. I do not think that this whole fight with Eliza Blue should end because there are bigger things to worry about. Because there needs to be accountability held with Eliza Blue and I forget her name, the vice president.
Ella Irwin.
Yeah, Ella Irwin. I think there should be accountability held. Will it happen? Well, we'll see what happens with Yoel Roth and Vijay Gadde as they're going now, because that's going to set precedence over this.
My hopes aren't high.
Ah,
I
neither.
hate to sound black-pilled, but almost nobody in the upper echelon ever faces any kind of real accountability. The kind of accountability that we would face.
Oh, there you go. Any chance Scrotes could come back for more discussion? Love the stream, not Tim Pool oriented. I'd love to have him back. I mean, this dude actually seems like he's intelligent enough to hold a conversation and knows what the fuck's going on.
Thanks.
It's I appreciate these kinds of conversations, and this is kind of what we need. We need the American people to speak up. The silent majority has been silent for too fucking long. We need everyone to speak up. Emails right there. If y'all want to speak up too, come on, bring it on. But yeah, I'd love to have him back at any point. He's in the Discord as well. He has personal reach to me, so if he wants to come on, more than welcome. And if you do want to get into this a little bit more, I have some people that we could probably meet you up again and have conversations with. I don't know why my camera's skipping, jittering around right now, but yeah.
All right. And yeah, I just want to, just say hi to the guys over at Griffcast. I've been hanging out with them for the last couple of days, having some fun. And, I appreciate you reaching out to me and having me on. It's been a lot of fun. And anytime you want me back on, just send me a word and I'm sure I can work it out.
All right, yeah, we'll definitely do that. I will admit this though. I kind of agree with you on the whole tempo situation with that as well. Like, I will listen. I will hear it out, but I have to question whether your thoughts and your opinions on things are still the same, because if you're going to try to silence this situation because it hits too close to home, what happens with a bigger issue?
Yeah.
And that kind of concerns me a lot, especially with Tim, because he has a lot of pull. You know, there are bigger creators out there that get less reach than he does, but you have the ability to craft your own narrative. And if you start leading us astray like CNN, we're going to fall in line with that, with the same damn thinking. And that scares the fuck out of me with it.
Yep.
But yeah.
And you know, well, I just want to say one more thing. I don't have any kind of animosity towards Tim Pool. I don't expect any kind of apology or anything else. I don't expect him to reach out for for any kind of comment from me. So I'm just, as far as all that concerns, it's done. It's over with.
Okay. And I appreciate you being a big man about that. You know, you're pulling up your big boy pants, as Candace Owens would say.
Yeah. Yeah. She loves to say that, huh?
Yeah. While she sits in, I've got issues with her. Never mind.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into that. That's a whole nother situation.
Yeah, it is. That is another 2-hour-long conversation right there.
But no, I appreciate you, Scrotes. You've been amazing. We'll definitely have you guys back on again. Like I said, if anybody else out there wants to speak up, the silent majority has been silent too damn long. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, you have a voice, and it is important. It's now more important than ever to speak up. Please sit down. Let's talk. Y'all take it easy. Have a good night. And we'll see you again very soon.